Up next on the all-new Rick and Rick,
Coca-Cola's silent print ads you can hear.
Burger King's new Unhappy Meals,
Leadership advice from artificial intelligence.
plus how to think like a futurist, ASMR for artists, and a whole lot more.
And it all starts right here, right now,
On the one show where everybody's name is Rick,
and everybody rules the world. Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, thank you for joining us for Rick and Rick Rule the World. I'm Rick Matheson, and as always, I am joined by my good pal Rick Wooten. How you doing, Rick Wooten?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. So we're on the second weekend of Avengers Endgame. They crossed, I think, $2.2 billion, or pretty close to it.
Yeah, they were just under 2.2 million when I checked this morning, and that was presumably without the Sunday box office. It has broken every single record. So the biggest opening day, the biggest opening weekend, the biggest first 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, 9 days. I mean, literally every day goes by, it's breaking more and more records. It's amazing.
We talked last time during our review of the Avengers, we were speculating whether or not it was going to cross the $3 billion mark. I sure hope it does. The number one movie right now still remains Avatar, and I believe they were at 2.7 or 2.8 billion. I think that is adjusted for inflation. So we'll see if Endgame crosses that threshold.
Yeah, well, and also remember, we're at the beginning of summer right now, and this is probably the biggest summer movie.
Yeah.
And so it's going to have actually a fair amount of traction throughout the summer season. And it really ends up being how long are they going to keep running it as to how much money it's going to make.
I'm not a huge Avatar fan. We're both James Cameron fans, but I really have never liked Avatar. I loved all the special effects and everything. Problem was I had seen the movie Pocahontas. It was literally almost beat for beat Disney's Pocahontas all over again. So it was like, come on, please, just throw up a twist in some way, please. So I will not shed a tear for Avatar if it drops into second. But he's got two of these big movies. So when we say that Endgame has just become the second most, it was because it beat Titanic, which was also James Cameron. So
that's true. That's true.
Dude is well represented in the top 10 movies of all time. So gotta give him props there. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We have a really good show today, multitude of different topics here, so we're going to dive in. The Wall Street Journal did this piece. Now, how they'll occasionally train AI to do something, and so
right.
the Wall Street Journal decided to teach AI how to generate leadership and career slogans, like those old affirmation posters everyone used to have back in the Stone Age.
Yeah, let's hang in there.
Yeah, but here they're using just a simple version of, I guess it's the text generation tech that's used in chatbots. And
Right.
So some of the nuggets of wisdom the AI generated were interesting. So one was, a sincere leader dreams to believe. A sincere leader dreams to believe. I like that one.
Yeah.
An employee is someone who's a special person. Hey, liberate the minds of others. I like the sentiment there. The liberate could be taken a different way, like let them go. But unfortunately, the AI also channeled this mindset possessed by far too many so-called leaders out there. One was, the tree of knowledge is not the tree of love. The tree of knowledge is not the tree of love. In other words, learn, but don't share, maybe. And then success is the chance to do nothing.
I'm sure every employer is really excited to put that one up on the wall.
Well, I'm sure every employee is going, yeah, that sounds about right. My boss doesn't do anything. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. You sent over this ASMR for artists. This was hilarious.
Oh my gosh, Rick! As soon as I saw this, first thing I did was laugh. The second thing was I had to get ready for the show because this completely reminds me of you. So basically, because you've been so into ASMR.
Yeah.
We've talked about it on the show a bunch of times. We've had you try and do a little bit on the show. So I mean, anytime I see ASMR, I think of you right now. So the person who put this together is on Twitter, and her handle is Albino Wonderland. I think she is an artist, probably graphic designer, based on what I'm seeing in the ASMR. And so what she did is she put together this piece, which is basically affirmation for designers, for artists, and it had some choice lines. I just absolutely loved it, in a very good way, by the way. Some of them were like, your relatives will never ask you to design a business card or a logo because they understand that graphic design is its own unique skill. Well, you're a creative director, right? Can't you do my logo?
Right.
Or she has your tablet pen is exactly where it's supposed to be.
Your tablet pen is exactly where it needs to be.
That's right. Well, then the one that hit kind of close to me, because I think this goes way beyond just being, a graphic designer, was your parents see this as a real job. Tell you, when I started doing this whole web thing, my parents, my family had no idea what. Well, I mean, but hardly anyone did. I mean, you've seen the interviews on TV where the TV personalities are saying the most ridiculous things about what the internet is,
Right.
and so my parents, family didn't really understand either. So this one hit home for me. But then she wraps it up, and you could really see where the pain for the designer is, because she spends probably the last third of it repeating something to the extent of, the customer has no edits.
Oh,
No more
jeez.
edits are being sent. There are no edits.
That's called wishful thinking in ASMR.
Oh, it's awesome.
You know, she
So
does a
I'm
good
I'm
job with the sound too. Her voice is really down there like this. You can hear every little bit. I thought she did a great job.
Oh, I totally agree. She's got a paintbrush. She's tapping on. I mean, she's triggering all the snaps. Anyways, it's really well done. Again, it's Albino Wonderland, and she's hilarious. I loved it. So I'm convinced that you need to take another shot at this. I think we should learn from her. And from a creative director standpoint, I think the challenge for you is to go figure out how to do one of these.
Do I have to wear a beret?
Absolutely.
Damn it. Kind of a touchy topic this past week. Facebook has banned a couple of quote unquote extremists. It's only tangentially
Yeah.
been on my radar. What was the latest on that? And what they say was the rationale?
Yeah. This one's interesting. It's on my radar only because it's kind of taking things in a dangerous direction. A lot of folks have stepped forward, and and I applaud them for stepping up and saying, hey, we don't want hate speech, we don't want terrorism, we don't want whatever on our social media site or what have you. Basically, Facebook has joined several other companies, including Apple and YouTube, in banning a few different people. They're kind of one of the last holdouts, which is why this has been kind of interesting, right? Because it's kind of been a freedom of speech thing. It's been whatever, and they kind of said that they removed it because it was dangerous speech, which I thought was an interesting way to classify it. Look, I this is a tough one for me because I'm a big proponent of freedom of speech. I stand behind it, but I don't align with these people, and I don't want to hear anything. And in fact, I think I've self-censored all of them myself. But it is interesting that we have more and more of these technology companies, these media outlets, the social media, taking a stance on a topic. And it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. I don't know where it should go, to be honest with you. I just think that it's something to pay attention to.
Again, only tangentially on my radar, but my impression of it was, hey, whether it's on the left or the right, if you are doing things that are, antagonistic to others in ways that could, inspire violence, I'm saying yank them off. And yeah, you've got a right to free speech. You don't have a right to use a company's platform to do it. I would rather them just say, hey, look, on our platform, you don't advocate violence and you don't intimidate or bully online. If we think that you are, and it's our sole discretion, don't be surprised if we ban you, and just keep it simple.
Yeah, but it's such a challenging topic though, because at the end of the day, one person's interpretation is going to be different
Of
than
course.
another, and they're unless they can come up with a firm set of rules, it's going to always seem arbitrary to some group or another.
For sure. But you know what? These are privately owned platforms. So they can just say, in our eyes, if we decide that we feel like that you're up to something that we think is dangerous to other people, don't be surprised if we yank you. And I do think that there should be a mechanism for folks to complain about when they do experience things like that. I'm sure there is already, but I think that's an important mechanism of it as well, to send this red alert to the mothership in Menlo Park saying, hey, this person's dangerous, this person's dangerous. But good Lord, I think that the days of just being okay, whatever, just everybody talk about whatever they want to talk about here, I think needs to be modulated at least a little bit.
It's challenging though, because what you're asking them to do is what they said they wouldn't do, which is to start reading through what we're posting, right? and to make that a judgment call based on. And so you're putting a pretty big onus on the company to
I would.
monitor all that.
What I don't accept is that they just don't do anything.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we have to go to a break here, folks. Please stay with us. When we come back, it is time for the good, the bad, and the marketing with a lot of really great topics, including print ads that you can hear. So stay tuned. Hey, Rick and Rick Nation, don't forget to check out our website at rickandrick.com. It's double the Rick in just one click at rickandrick.com. And we're back. Thank you, Rick and Rick Nation, for joining us today. It is time for the good, the bad, and the marketing. And so Coca-Cola is doing this series of print ads that dare you to try not to hear this. What these are is they're just static, I guess it's outdoor and print ads, things like that. They're featuring close-up visuals of, I'm looking at one, the tab being lifted off an ice cold can of Coke, and I swear I can almost hear it. It's like it's right there. And they had one, where it's like the bottle cap coming off. Another one where it's Coke being poured over ice. And I swear I can hear it. It's weird. But anyway, it had me thinking about way back when we did an episode on silent gifts that you can hear. And the New York Times quoted a researcher who calls this effect when you're looking at something and you feel like you're hearing it or can almost hear it. They call it a visually evoked auditory response. And what the researcher said is hearing does not require external noise, but rather it's having the experience of a sound in your head. And in that episode, we were looking at that, I think it was the power towers hopping up and down. And 70% of people said that they could hear it. And looking at these ads for Coca-Cola, I did too. I mean, my mouth sort of watered a little bit, It was just like, okay, I want that. So, if they keep working on it, they might even evoke something along the lines of Rick and Rick's St. Patty's Day IPA with Lucky Charms inspired Lucky Charms and Guinness. I'm just saying they might be able to.
I'm hoping they don't. I'm really hoping they don't.
So anyway,
here's the thing. So when we did this before with the power towers playing jump rope, I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
I could see it, and that was a motion one, right? So you could, if I really tried, I could kind of force it, but just naturally, it's different here. Like there's two of the three, I had an immediate like recognition of the auditory, and the one where you can see the bubbles kind of popping off, the effervescent, that one to me, I could hear that kind of sizzling noise of that. The bottle opening, that one too. So I could do this. And this is like, we've seen this in advertising for a long time and just in different forms, like you could see that steak sizzling on the grill, or you could see somebody cutting into it. And, it's trying to evoke, whether it's a sense of smell or taste or, whatever, hearing. Coca-Cola did an amazing job with these. They definitely evoke it for me.
And I like the, try not to hear it line. I thought this was a really great idea.
Now, what's your theory here? So do you think they just did this on their own, or do you think that with the success of the viral power lines jumping, they decided that they could do that and then did these ads? What do you think it was?
I think they heard the Rick and Rick episode where we were talking about this, and if those guys are talking about this, man, we need to do this as well. So it's probably all of the above. I doubt it was just on their own. I bet it was just they were brainstorming and thought, did you see that, blah, 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 and then they kind of went there. I think that's smart.
Yeah, I agree. Kudos to them.
This piece that you sent over about Burger King unhappy meals. Tell us about that.
Burger King constantly impresses you and I with some of the campaigns they do, some of the ads they do, and this one's no exception. So what I didn't realize is I think last month was, or maybe it's this month, is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so to support that, they're introducing this line of Feel Your Way meals, right? Which is kind of a play on their old slogan of Have It Your Way, Feel Your Way. They have this great commercial where it opens up and somebody saying, hey, I'm not happy, stop telling me to feel a certain way. And you see somebody who, is leaving the office with a box. They're really pissed off. It's a woman who's really pissed off. And, she says, that boss is such a jerk. And, and so, they have this range of emotions that they show throughout the commercial, and basically saying, look, we give you permission to feel however it is you need to feel and you want to feel. And to kind of back that up, they've decided to release, and it's a limited release, a few cities, whatever, these 5 meals. There's a blue meal, there's a Yas meal, there's a pissed meal, there's a salty meal, and then there's a DGAF
Yeah.
meal. Which so anyways, so I think it's clever. I like it. Again, it was unexpected. It's everything that we've come to love and respect from Burger King. Had you seen this?
I had not till you sent it to me. It is nice that it ties in with National Mental Health Day. I do think that this is capitalizing on that. If you think about it, this is the perfect way to slam McDonald's Happy Meals while you're at it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, hey, it is funny. I can't
Yeah.
decide if I'm digging it, pissed about it, feeling anxious about it, or just DGAF about it.
So this hasn't been a runaway success for them. So two things. One, as you alluded, this is probably also a jab at McDonald's Happy Meal,
Yeah.
which is kind of disappointing. I wish that if they're really going to support something
Right.
as important as mental health awareness, I would have rather it been a little more pure on that. And then the second thing is, and they should have thought about this, is as soon as you put something like this out there, of course, a couple of employees are going to step up and say, hey, by the way, it's so difficult to work at Burger King and there's so much stress that I had to sometimes go into the freezer to cry. And so, there, like, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag, right? Because it isn't pure. It isn't, this
Pure.
idea of supporting the mental health as much as they started to make it out to be.
Right.
And then, of course, there's a negative side to all this. I mean, working at a fast food restaurant is brutal. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's going to be some employees who feel this way
Yeah.
and maybe want to buy the meals themselves, or maybe they should get them for free because they work there.
Stay tuned for our next segment. We're going to be doing loaded questions, and one of the things we're going to be talking about are things that help you think like a futurist. So stay tuned. And welcome back to Rick and Rick Rule the World. This is Rick Matheson, and joined as always by Rick Wooten. And this is the part of our show where we play loaded questions. Going to pose some questions about things that are happening in the worlds of marketing, media, tech, and pop culture. Some interesting topics today, Rick. Are you ready for some loaded questions?
I'm ready as I can be.
All right, question number one. According to a January 2019 survey, which of the following is the most popular method for internet users worldwide to stay in touch with retailers? A, is email. B, the interactive Rick and Rick Pez dispenser. C, remarketing ads. D, the retailer's mobile app. E, text messaging. F, social media. Or G, not at all. They don't want to connect with their retailer. Which of these is the most popular method for internet users worldwide to stay in touch with their retailers?
I know that I believe that email is still the primary way, but I know that text messaging is catching up. So I'm going to stick with email.
You are correct. According to eMarketer, this January 2019 survey from omnichannel retail management company, I think it's called iVend Retail, right? The most popular method for internet users worldwide to stay in touch with retailers is email at 62.9%, which actually seems a little down. I've seen 70% in recent years, but still quite high. So 62.9% of consumers want to interact with retailers via email. The next closest is mobile app at 43%, and then social media at 25.2%. No, it is old school email. It remains the number one channel. Right now, the ROI for marketing through email channels to your customers, upselling them or telling them promotions or whatnot, for every dollar invested in that, retailers and others are getting like $38 in return.
Wow.
So it's much
awesome.
better ROI than any other digital channel. Okay, question number 2. According to Megatrends, which of the following is not one of the top 5 ways to think like a futurist? A, stay up on trends. B, think in the most boring way possible. C, power up your imagination. D, do a reality check by adopting a scarcity mentality. Or E, learn from failure. Which of these is not one of the top 5 ways to think like a futurist according to Megatrends?
Well, it's the one I enjoy the most, the think the most boring way possible.
No. So
What?
Yeah, bear with me for just a second. The answer is actually D. Do a reality check by adopting a scarcity mentality is not one of the top 5. So according to Andrew Bulwell, I think he's the CTO at HP Enterprise, he writes in the HP Megatrends site that the top 5 ways to think like a futurist are as follows. So 1 is stay on top of trends. That seems obvious. 2 is visualize. So once you identify emerging trends, the next step is to power up your imagination. Imagine what the world would look like with this thing, your daily routine, that kind of thing. But number 3 was Have boring conversations. He says it's easy to fantasize how technology will improve our lives in the future, but it's just as important to have tactical conversations as well to make sure that there's a business behind something and that this makes sense for folks to adopt in mass. Number 4 was adopt a growth mindset. So that one was D. I said adopt a scarcity mindset. Question number 3. Which of the following is the most powerful tool for driving store traffic? A, radio-only advertising. B, out-of-home advertising. C, television advertising. D, mobile-only advertising. Or E, the interactive Rick and Rick Pez dispenser. Which of these is the most powerful tool for getting folks in your store?
I'm going to go with mobile only. I don't know the answer to this one, so I'm going to guess mobile only.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So the answer is actually B. According to Retail Drive, Cubic's footfall attribution benchmark study finds that the most powerful tool to get shoppers through the door in this last year was out of home, with an average footfall traffic boost ranging between 80% to 120%. Mobile-only advertising was second, delivering a 10% to 89% uptick, followed by cross-device, which they defined as mobile and web, which boosted traffic on average somewhere between 6% and 39%.
I actually take issue, I think, with their methodology here, because I think that trying to claim that one tactic by itself is sufficient is a misnomer in my mind, because I don't think the out of home would have worked if you hadn't had it supported by other things.
Yeah.
So them saying, out of home only or mobile only or whatever only, it sounds like they're trying to force a result more than a realistic explanation of what a campaign would be.
Of course, it's not one medium or the other. It is the totality of everything, the full integration of the brand in lots of different channels. I think that what they were trying to nail down was how much can we attribute directly to one of these last mile channels. And,
Right.
I think it's all of these. And I think that your sentiment about that is exactly spot on. Thank you for playing. And everybody at home and in the car, wherever you listen to Rick and Rick Rule the World, thank you for playing and thank you for listening. Please check us out, rickandrick.com. You can find all our social connections there as well. And please, as always, be sure to tune in next time for the one show where everybody's name is Rick and everybody rules the world.
Thanks so much, everyone.